Hey guys, today I'm going to be making a video that is pretty surreal for me to be filming because a couple years ago I was watching videos just like this and now I'm in the position to actually make one, which is just crazy to me, but I'm very excited about it and I've been meaning to film something like this for a while, so I'm finally getting around to it. So yeah, today I'm going to take you guys through kind of the story of how I learned Korean over the past, it's been nearly 3 years now. Don't get scared. It doesn't necessarily have to take you that long. It just really depends on like your work ethic and like how much time and energy you're putting into it like on a consistent basis. And I've definitely had some on and off spaces, but overall I've also had like periods where I worked super hard at it where like I learned a lot more. And so it really depends on your work ethic how quickly you get this done. So like don't be too intimidated is what I'm trying to say. So this will be more like just what I did versus like tips and opinions, because this video could go on for so long if I go through every little thing I did and like what I think was best and whatever, but I'll try and just like give you the basic rundown, and then I might do more videos in the future where I talk about like the best, there's a fly, the best apps I used and just general like tips and tricks of like what I think worked best for me and what is maybe like not as great of an idea or not as helpful. So okay, so I started off, I believe, with an app like Memrise, I'm pretty sure, just like a basic vocabulary app that kind of gets you started. You know, it helped with like the alphabet, with basic vocabulary, that kind of thing, but I wouldn't recommend like just learning a language directly from an app like that because you don't really have anyone to explain to you why certain things work the way they do. It's just basic memorization, which like if you're just learning a few phrases that you need to get around is okay. But I would say if you really want to develop an understanding of the language, then that's not like your number one tool, if you get what I'm saying. So after a while of this, where I wasn't really getting anywhere, like I was learning little phrases and things, but I never really understood how they actually function, the grammar behind them, that kind of thing, I found the most incredible app, and I'm so glad I found this back when I did, because if I hadn't downloaded it, I don't think I would be where I am now with my Korean. I don't know if I would have even gotten anywhere at all. And that app is Talk to Me in Korean. I'm sure by now you guys have heard of that in so many videos, but back when I discovered it, I didn't hear anyone talking about it really, so I'm just very grateful I did, and they're phenomenal. The app has so many podcasts of grammar lessons that, you know, you have like Korean native speakers explaining things to you so well, and it's just been like, it made all the difference. If I had to pick one thing to tell you or like to recommend to you to learn Korean, 100% Talk to Me in Korean. It was beyond helpful for me and just made all the difference. So highly recommend that app. I recommend their music videos. I'm so used to reacting to music videos that that's just what comes out of my mouth now. Their YouTube video lessons, those are also fantastic. Just very helpful. Like, I'm a learner where I need someone to actually explain it to me in terms I can understand, and like, you know, someone who knows the differences between English and Korean well and can like articulate how they function like as opposed to each other, or like, you know, in contrast, in comparison, and that just Talk to Me in Korean does a phenomenal job. And then they have like PDFs with every file, and it's great. Such a great tool. So I'd say that was where the bulk of my learning took place when I was learning it on my own. Of course, there's things like watching videos and like TV shows, etc. in Korean. Obviously very helpful, because then like you can pick up on little things. And if you notice with Korean productions, usually there's a lot of like text on screen and all kinds of like pop-ups and things, and I try to kind of translate everything I can as I go. Just, this is another like big thing that I want to say is like, I also did a lot of just Google Translate, Google searches. Like if there's a grammar point that I'm like, oh, I wonder what that means, just look it up. And there's like really great websites and articles that pop up and like explain everything to you. So yeah, that's definitely something I would say, like don't stray away from that. Like go ahead and just look up something you need an answer to, and that was a pretty significant like part of my learning as well. Another thing that I definitely need to mention that helped get me where I am is that when I entered university at the beginning of this year, I did like a weird thing where I graduated high school half a year early and went into the spring semester of college, so that's why if you're a bit confused. That's why I started in January at the beginning of the year. But I began taking Korean at university, and I have to say that made all the difference in my speaking in particular. Like, I already knew all of the grammar and a lot of the vocabulary. I did learn like a decent amount of new vocabulary because I always focus more on grammar than vocab in my studying, so that's definitely a spot where I was lacking. But my point being is that I didn't have anyone to actually talk to in person. And being in a classroom setting changed everything. Like, when I first got there, I could barely put two words together, even though I knew how. Like, I understood a lot of Korean, and, you know, if you gave me the chance to, like, sit down and think and write it out, I was okay. But when it came to actually speaking to people, like, in the moment, I really struggled. It was very difficult for me because I just had no practice or experience with that, and that's where I think speaking to people in real life is just so helpful. So if you can find someone in your area, highly recommend that. Just try talking to people. If not, like, look up people online. There's apps for that I'm about to get into, where you can like text and call people. So I also very highly recommend that. Just find someone you can talk to, and that makes all the difference. I'm still like not as proficient as I'd like to be, but I think being in the classroom setting definitely helped me be able to like more quickly piece my thoughts together. Alright, and getting to where I am now, something that I do to practice on pretty much a daily basis now is text people in Korean. There's this amazing app I found probably a couple months ago now called Tandem. I'm not sponsored by any of the people I'm talking about this in this video, none of the apps or organizations or anything. This is what I used as like a consumer. None of them know I exist. But Tandem is like an app where you can look up people who speak the language you're trying to learn, and they can help you, or you can help them learn the language that they're trying to learn. So it's like a kind of exchange of just languages pretty much, where you can talk to people around the world, and it's been incredibly helpful as well. I've been texting people in Korean on a day-to-day basis, and that's definitely helped me like see like how people naturally text more and try and like piece like my own sentences together like a bit more colloquially, and then people can correct you, and it's just such a good tool and resource. I really enjoy it. So yeah, I'd say that's like a basic rundown of how I learned Korean. It's just like a lot of taking things in. Just something like reading Instagram captions on a day-to-day basis and like looking through people's stories and like, you know, things like that in Korean. You know, that's constant exposure, and it just really keeps you going, and so that helped a lot as well. I think like a lot of the reason I can retain and learn more is because I'm exposed to it so much. And of course music like K-pop, you know, the more I learn, the more I begin to understand what I'm hearing, and it's just, yeah, overall a very cool experience. Like watching yourself be able to understand more and more slowly is a really cool feeling. So yeah, that's like my basic journey of how I learned, but like I said, there's like a lot of little like nitpicky things that I could kind of choose to add, where I really want to explain like what worked better for me and what didn't so much, and just little tips and tricks, and there's more apps and things like that. So I think I'm going to do other videos in the future, but I just don't want this one to be overwhelmingly long. But yeah, that is how I learned Korean essentially. So yeah, alright, thank you guys so much for watching. If you'd like, you can follow me on Instagram at Alice on the Internet, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye everyone.